Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 ASMR. Today's video is going to be the first review of 2020. So I had stated in an earlier vlog this year that I wanted to do more reviews of books this year, and I'm going to start doing that. I want to preface this video by saying that I'm sick, and that I'm also wearing the same sweater for like the 6th or 7th video on this channel. Please don't read me. So the book I'm going to be reviewing today is Given by Nandi Taylor. This book was kindly sent to me by the folks over at Wattpad Books to read and review for you all. However, this in no way affects my opinion about the story overall. I will be reviewing the book solely on my own opinions and being completely honest for all of you. So Given follows 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, a young warrior princess who, after her father falls ill, must travel from her own island to the Empire of 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 to find a cure. While there, she faces many adventures and along the way meets a young dragon kind named 𝐬𝐭𝐻. 𝐬𝐻 instantly claims 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 as his given, or his sacred mate, without even really knowing her. This leads 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 to an inner struggle about whether she's going to be able to fight her feelings for the dragon, all while finding a cure for her father. So that's what the jacket summary tells us the book is about. However, there were a couple things it left out that I think were kind of crucial to the story. The first thing was that the main setting of the book is at an academy in the Empire of 𝐬𝐻. Reading that jacket, I would have never got the idea that it took place at an academy. Also, there's a lot more romance than you initially think from reading the jacket, which I'm not complaining about. I love romance. Now, I know what you're thinking from the jacket being misleading. The book's totally ruined, right? Well, not really. In fact, I think not knowing some key points of the story made it so that I was more surprised when actually reading it. Nowadays, a lot of books just spoil their entire plot through the jacket summary, and that just kind of ruins the reading experience for everyone. So I do have to be honest with you, when Wattpad Books originally suggested I review this when I requested some other books, I was initially a little hesitant. I thought there was really nothing left to be originated in the YA fantasy genre, and even when I read the summary, I still kind of felt that way. Then I actually started reading the book, and my mind completely changed. Nandi Taylor's world building is a breath of fresh air from the usual settings and worlds that we're used to. Her strikingly descriptive language made it so that I barely knew where I was half the time, which is a great thing. I didn't want to feel like I was in a typical fantasy world, and I didn't. Instead, I felt immersed in a world of academies, mystery, and dragons. And who doesn't love dragons? If I had to compare the world of Given to anything, I would probably compare it to the Elder Scrolls games. The games have like an open world feel, and it seems like the world never ends and you can travel for miles and never find the next part. That's what it felt like for this book, that you just were in a world that you had never seen before. Now, as for the magical elements of the story, I wasn't completely sold from the beginning. The magic system used by our protagonist and a lot of other characters is rune lore, which is something used a lot in fiction. And admittedly, I don't think it did anything too different this time around either. If anything, it was one of the tiny things that bogged the story down a bit. Although it was sort of nice at times to see the struggle of using different types of systems, and it kind of set up a parallel to our world and how we struggle over using different ways and different methods to complete different tasks. Now, I mentioned earlier that there were dragons in this book, and no, I was not lying. There are full-fledged dragon kind that can transform from dragon to human and back again. Honestly, this was the 𝑛♂1 selling point for me for this book. I feel like we don't get to see dragons much in modern YA fantasy. Sure, there was like the niche in the early 2000s with like 𝐬𝐿 and books like that, but the need for it sort of just died down over the years. No one seems to be talking or writing about dragons much anymore, and I need my dragons. So when Taylor created this beautiful species of dragons for this story, you best believe I was in love from the start. So technically I was in love with one dragon, I suppose. 𝐬𝐻. He's handsome, muscular, chivalrous, and downright obnoxious at times. But if he's not the dragon claiming me as his given, I'll never marry. He wasn't always sold on me like this, though. In the beginning of the story, 𝐬𝐻 seemed to have this air of arrogance and sexism about him. Admittedly, he keeps his arrogance for most of the story, which creates his character, but he learns from his sexist remarks as he goes along. And from the learning, he becomes a better person for it. And that, children, is what we call a dynamic character. It's also why I'm so glad I stuck out the ride and to see this beautiful character blossom into a perfect gentleman. And a perfect gentleman he was. At least, to 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. She's the book's main protagonist, and honestly, kind of lackluster. For starters, she has this air of primness about her. It's almost as if she thinks she's better than everybody else just because she's a princess. I can understand wanting respect, but you also have to understand that you're in an alien territory where no one really knows your lineage. Besides this little hiccup though, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲's an okay character. She isn't the strongest protagonist I've read about, but she does justice for the story. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 is still my favorite though, just saying. Now to tie all the characters and plot together, there had to be some writing. Actually, a lot of writing. 447 pages to be exact. And almost every bit of it was terrific. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the descriptive language used to create the world was way beyond anything I could have ever expected. I will point out, however, that the dialogue sometimes can get a little cheesy. At times, it just doesn't feel authentic when two characters are speaking to each other. It's almost as if they're speaking to a wall and then it communicates through them or something. It just doesn't feel authentic at times. Never fear though, because this did not take too much away from the story. Honestly, I barely noticed it if I hadn't been reviewing the book. Overall, this book may not be perfect. While it may have a few kinks it could work out, as most books do, there is no denying that Taylor's story brought a fresh breath of air to the YA fantasy genre. Would I recommend this book? Oh, absolutely. If you want dragons, romance, and an academy, this is the book for you. Do not skip out on Nandi Taylor's 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. My final rating for this book was a 4 out of 5 star rating. This book releases this Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Go ahead and pre-order the book now, and if you're watching this video in the future, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a copy. So that was my review for Nandi Taylor's 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. Thank you again to Wattpad Books for sending me a copy to read and review. This was such a great book to read. It was a breath of fresh air into the genre, and I felt that I was reading something besides just a typical fantasy book. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please go check out the book. It's really awesome. Support the author. These books were originally written on Wattpad. These Wattpad books were, and it's really neat to see someone who just had a dream, see that dream blossom. So thanks for watching, and until next time, remember you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and you're loved. Bye guys!